good day, everyone. We, of course, glad you guys could join us here again for another Talk It Over. We started a new series about enough. It's a good series. Very excited about it. But before we get into that, we're going to just kind of catch up. I've got Dave and Michaela with me this week, so it should be a good discussion. How are you guys' weeks? How have things been going?
Wait, is it a good discussion because we fight? Is that what that is?
No. Not like that. No, a good discussion because we'll have good content, things to talk about, discuss. Yes.
Totally.
Yes. So your weeks, how have things been? Anything new and exciting? Something that's come up recently, or maybe it's just kind of bland?
Yeah. My week has been better than the week before that because I was very sick.
Yes.
After coming back from a trip, and so it was really nice to not be in bed all day and to actually get back into a routine. Although it's slow, it takes time to fully recover from a cough, and so I'm not fully there yet with my habits and reestablishing those again. But
This is the test, isn't it?
It is the test.
Yeah.
Trips are so fun, but they really just, I don't know, they mess up everything with habits.
They do.
Well, and emotionally, physically draining because you're always go, right? It's not like you have time to take a break, especially on a missions trip. It's day of just going, visiting, doing, there's not a lot of downtime, right? So.
No, it was just wake up at 6, go to bed at 10 every single day and just full. But it was so good. Honestly, amazing trip that I won't forget.
Yeah. Stuff like that is really memorable and really impacts the way you think about your values and what you prioritize and what's important.
Yeah.
So good. Mm-hmm. I just had a regular week. Had good conversations with people and got lots of work done, and things are getting busy as it kind of ramps up. That initial back to school is kind of finished and things are kind of ramping up. And then as we get towards Christmas, our business, my wife's business ramps down, and then the church stuff kind of ramps up. So it's good. It goes this way.
So it's not just both. Woo, really busy.
Yeah, which is nice.
That's always good. Yeah. Guys, for me, it was very similar. Just a very straightforward week. Nothing too exciting. Work is continuing to be extremely busy. We're booking 2 weeks out now, so it's makes it for, you're going to have long days in there. So just planning for that, and then being, trying to get as much rest as I can between that when I get home and that. But otherwise been, pretty straightforward week. Nothing too crazy.
But did the Christmas lights get up?
They did. So the exterior of the house is done, but all the lighting isn't completed yet. There's still more to do, but all the high ladder stuff is done. So that's all taken care of. So I don't have to be too worried about, slipping on the roof and that with the weather starts to get a little bit worse.
Yeah, I don't want that.
All that's kind of done. So now it's all, there's inside stuff yet to do. And then there's a little bit of lighting out the back yet to do, but should be good. We've got a whole new set of lights for the house, so it's going to look a lot different than it did last year, and should be really good. We're waiting, did a little test last night just to kind of see brightness and color, and looked good. So hopefully we'll.
So how many times did your wife tell you to be careful?
I think it was once going up the probably 25-foot ladder, and then I think probably getting onto the roof. And then off the roof, so probably about 3 times.
3 times.
Wait, I might be missing something. Have you fallen off before?
No, never fallen off a ladder. No.
Okay.
No, never fallen off a ladder.
The
only downside I had in our previous house was I tried to get to the very top of the roof. So there was the lower part of the roof, then you had the top part of the roof. Well, I did the lower part, then I thought I should get a small ladder and stand it up on top of the house, and then I climbed up there to get on top to do all those, and then I was having a really hard time getting back down because I couldn't find where the ladder was, because it was kind of tucked underneath the eavesdropping, and it was a struggle. I was at the point of I'm gonna need my dad to come with a bigger ladder. It was not good. So we've avoided the very top peak of the roof now because it's just too tall with ladders. It's just not good. So.
Yes, definitely.
Let us know, guys, what how have your week's been? Are you guys again gearing up? Is things getting more busy at work as you're having that final push to Christmas? Or maybe you're getting into the Christmas spirit, getting your tree up, getting lights going, getting things ready for December. And I know for me, December it has to be December 1st, can't be before, so it's a very strict thing.
Except for outside lights.
I can't do those in December. It's a little cold. They have to get up, but aren't on until December 1st. So, but let us know in the comments, guys. We'd love to hear from you on how your weeks have been going. So yeah, our series is More Than Enough, new series. So far, today's message was really good. Really loved it. And the title for this message is Love Gives. And I thought that was kind of interesting how he kind of tied that together. Our scripture today is found in John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave. And you always think of that specific passage that he gave his only son, but he gives us so much more that I think we kind of bypass or forget a little bit about, that he just gives. He's a generous God and he likes to give.
And you get focused on the Jesus part and you forget that he gave.
Yeah.
Right? He gave Jesus in order for our salvation because he's a giving God. He's generous. And I think it's easy to skip over that.
It is. It's very easy, and you get focused on he gave Jesus.
Yeah.
But then you think of, gives us grace, gives us mercy, gives us all the other things.
Yeah.
But I think, we kind of skip some of those at points and kind of forget about those a little bit. Yeah. Okay, so our first question. What's a memorable gift you've given someone else? Something memorable. Maybe they were very surprised with.
Well, it was funny. That just actually happened yesterday. So my wife had been talking about a show that she enjoyed from years ago now.
Okay.
And that she would like to get that. And so I went, found it, bought it.
Nice.
And she was looking at our TV and went, wait, where did that come from? And was surprised that I had picked it up for her. And so, it was just kind of one of those moments.
Nice.
And I love that. I love those moments when you get to give someone a gift and they're like genuinely surprised and pleased by it. It's good.
Definitely.
I like that.
Yeah, for me, Christmas comes to mind. A couple years ago, I had created, it's kind of like a scavenger hunt actually for my sister, and at the different points there was just like $5 bills everywhere, which hey, she enjoyed. But just seeing like the anticipation, and there were clues to go and like figure out where's the next spot to go, and I got to film the whole thing. So yeah, just more intentional with putting that all together, and just the excitement of it. I don't know. It's just fun to make it an adventure sometimes with certain gifts. So.
An experience.
An experience, yeah. Where the person themselves, like, they're enjoying it, but then everybody else too is just laughing and just finding joy in it.
Because you could have just given her the cash.
I could have, and I thought about it, and I was like, well, this is not a lot of cash to just put into an envelope, so let's make it more fun.
Add the adventure to it, right? Just a little bit of adventure, a little scavenger hunt. Everybody likes scavenger hunts.
Yeah.
Whether you're like little or like older, scavenger hunts are always a lot of
Because
fun,
you're giving your time and your effort in putting it together.
Yes.
So it's both. It's good.
Yeah.
Oh, memorable, man. That's a good one. I'm trying to think here. What have I given that's been real memorable? Man.
Wait, this is your question.
I know this is my question. This is the crazy thing. I'm trying to think of like what was a memorable thing. Probably would have been birthstone ring for my wife.
Okay.
Oh.
She really enjoyed that. That was something that she had talked about for a while and was kind of putting it off.
Yep.
And then I kind of decided, no, let's go do that. So went and took her out, and she got to pick the style and then the stones and all the placement and everything, and she quite enjoyed that, and she really likes that because it's a little bit of it works with the three of us, our birthstones on either side with Emmett in the middle, and it's just kind of it's
so
it's a nice little one, and
that.
it works really well, and she really enjoys it, and really enjoyed that experience, being able to do that and kind of put that together just as a the family unit. So. Yeah. So quite enjoyed that for sure.
I love that it's both about like the actual gift itself, the physical gift, but also the experience is important too. And then that's often what we remember is the experience, and then we can relate it back to the gift piece.
Yeah. A lot of times I think it's the experience or the enjoyment of the experience. And the scavenger hunt, my wife, and then even for Carolyn, that experience of that, enjoying that movie from, years ago, and now being able to sit down and actually re-enjoy it, right? So that's always, I love that.
See, but I like the surprise.
Yeah? You like the surprise?
I like the surprise part when you get to surprise somebody.
Ah, okay. Do you like being surprised in that way?
Not especially. So no, I don't mind the surprise, but I enjoy giving the surprise.
Ah, okay. So just seeing that face light up, that enjoyment of
right.
the surprise. Gotcha. Okay. All right.
We'll have to keep that in mind for the future.
Could be dangerous.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. In the message, was there something that was very impactful for you guys? Something that kind of stood out? I know there's a lot of points in there. I'm thinking of all the points were excellent, but one specifically that stood out for you guys.
I think the one that comes to mind that I've heard before is that idea of more money just brings out more of who you are. And so Craig talked about that. So if you are a generous person, if you have a little bit, you'll be generous. If you have a lot, you'll be generous. But if you're not a generous person, we use the excuse of having a little. But then when you get a lot, you're still not, because that's not who you are. And so, right, the more money you get, it just brings out more of who you are inside. I know I've heard a lot of interviews with, actors or really wealthy people who talk about their struggles when they first got a lot of money, that they thought this would answer their problems, and what they said is it brought out more of what was inside them. And sometimes that was a really negative thing because there's some not good things on the inside. Yeah. And so that idea of I can't be generous because I don't have very much. No, you be generous at every level along the way. And I know we were with Compassion on our trip down to Guatemala, and maybe you found this when you were down there too. These people have very, very little, and yet we're still generous. Still gave out of the little bit that they have. And actually it was really impactful for me because I thought you've got so little and yet you're willing to give all of this away. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. The fact, actually, that brings me up a story where one of my colleagues was at a home visit, and there's this little girl. She had 2 Stitch toys. One of them was kind of raggedy. The other one was like brand new. And so my colleague said that she has a daughter who also loves Stitch. And so this little girl, about like 8 years old, she got the best Stitch toy that she had and gave it to my colleague and said, give this to your daughter. So even just like in the message talking about like giving God our best and our first fruits. And that the order matters, because then it's also just like internally being reminded of like God has to be first in everything. Of course with finances, but also with time, priorities, relationships. And so that was really powerful when my colleague shared that, and just a reminder that I want to give my best and not hold on so tightly to things because they're valuable to me.
Well, and he talked about you have to reorient your life to give God your best and your first, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to change the way you do things and put him in the center. And what a good challenge that is for all of us as believers. Like I need to reorient to give him my first and my best.
Yeah. And not see it as like a loss.
Yeah.
And it's not to say like giving does require sacrifice, but thinking about the way that God multiplies our faithfulness and like our generosity. And sometimes I miss that piece and just focus on like, oh my goodness, like what is this going to look like with expenses and just like saving for the future and things like that. And I can just get paralyzed by that like anxiety, I guess. But being able to step out. Honestly, my husband helps a lot with that. He challenges me with our giving, and I so appreciate that we both value that and we can challenge each other, and see how God uses that to honestly bless us as we give and bless other people.
Yeah, you mentioned that about, giving the doll and that, and then Craig kind of talking about that as well, his restaurant story. And and again, you see these people that do have very little and yet still giving, and it's like, you're like, no, like, don't, like, right? And you get this, we get this mindset because we do come from an area that, is abundant, and it's like, no, you shouldn't do this. Like, this is what you have. You should hold on to that. But then you're stopping the opportunity of them receiving a blessing. Yeah. Right. In that moment of giving. And Craig kind of touched on that with his story. That you don't want to stop them from giving a blessing, right? And being a blessing to somebody because they've been blessed in some way and they want to continue to move it forward, right? So it's just that idea that sometimes we have to get past our mindset of you have nothing to, you want to bless me, right?
Yeah, because I guess in that moment we're judging whether we think they can afford to give it away.
Yes.
And saying, no, you can't afford to, and so I won't accept that. When we were in Guatemala on our trip, we did a home visit, and really, really poor family, subsistence living, had very little. But they knew we were coming from Compassion to do a home visit. Yep. And so they'd open their home. And they brought out a basket filled with cans of pop. And I'm thinking they've got so little, I'm going to refuse and say, no, you keep it. And the guy that was there just said to me, like, don't do that. Like, that would be so insulting to them. And like one can of pop is like a week's wages for them. And here they'd filled it so that our big group could all have one each.
Yeah.
And boy, when you take that gift, you're right, you don't want to take away and say, no, you can't afford to. I have to allow them to be generous, and they decide what the priority is.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, we had a very similar experience like that in one of the home visits we had as well. And it's the translators in that are saying, no, you need to allow them. It's otherwise, it's very insulting to them that you're not willing to accept a gift they've given you, right? So.
Yeah.
And that reminds me of like God too, and like we have to be willing to accept his love, his grace. And just like let that transform us. I find that sometimes it's hard to, because it doesn't make sense that he just constantly has grace for us no matter like what situation we find ourselves in, and that his love is unconditional.
Yeah.
So it's tricky because we want to be givers, but we also need to be good at receiving.
Because we don't feel worthy, do we?
No.
You feel like, I'm not worthy. I haven't earned that kind of love from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it always makes me wonder when I feel that way, is that the way when I flip it around, do I give love because I think people have earned it and they deserve it? Like, if I think God is like that, is that the way I behave? Is that my mindset that's going on in me? Like, God, I haven't done anything to deserve that kind of grace and love, so I can't take it. Yeah. But does that mean I only give grace and love when I think people have earned it, and that's not grace at all? And really challenges my heart about how freely do I give of myself generously.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good point.
That is a good point. Yeah, I like the part where he's talking about the bag in the barn. Has it kind of come on that Halloween, as you're going around, everything going in your bag, right? It's going in your bag, right? And just kind of thinking about that, you look in the bag and it's like, oh, that's not a lot. I should go to a few more houses, right? And then you look again and probably could go to a few more houses yet. It's not full. And this idea of a lot of us live in that idea that we don't have enough or the bag's never full. And we allow ourselves to just continue to keep putting in the bag, but not really being, again, generous with what we have and giving freely of that because we do have an abundance. And so that barn mindset of there's lots, I can do more with what I have. I don't have to be so scarce because God's going to bless what I have, what I give. There's no need to be holding on to it, right?
Yeah. God's going to bless me with so much that I need a barn. Like, that's what he says in his word, right? Like, your barns will be overflowing, not your bag, but like your barn will be overflowing. And you think about that kind of abundance, that's enormous.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Right? It's
just bursting at the seams, the doors blowing open.
So you better be giving it away because you're not going to have any room for it. You got to get it out.
You got to get it out,
Yeah.
Yeah, so I quite enjoyed that, the barn and the bag. It was just an interesting tie-in as we're coming out of Halloween and that. It was just interesting and thinking about that, so I quite enjoyed that. I'm going to read Matthew 23, verse 23, and then we'll jump into the question here. Hypocrisy. For you are careful to the tithe, even the tiniest income from your herb gardens, but you ignore the more important aspects of the law, justice, mercy, and faith. You should tithe, yes, but do not neglect the more important things. So with that in mind, in addition, of course, to financial giving, which we've discussed, what are some other ways people can be generous?
Yeah, for me, what comes to mind is our time. I really value our church and the time that people are willing to give with like serving, offering our gifts and our talents in our different ministry areas. Tomorrow we'll be going to Operation Christmas Child. This is their collection week, and just being at one of their drop-off locations to receive a bunch of the shoe boxes and ship them off to be sent out to children around the world. And so, I'm just thankful that we get to do that together. And there's so much value in saying, like, I'm going to carve out time in my schedule to intentionally, like, give of myself. Because it takes, I don't know, I think that, like you said, like, finance is just that one piece. But there's something else when we're willing to give our time and even our efforts too, that show like we care. This is like important to us. And even if it's like uncomfortable or like you got to take a day off or something, like I want to do that because this matters.
Yeah, because it could be easy just to write a check. Just, here's $20 and then not have to give anything of yourself.
Yeah.
As opposed to, no, I'm going to invest my time, which is so valuable.
It is.
And my life, my thoughts, my energies into another person, and how big a deal that can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that reminds you, right? We're going to go down and give some of our time to pack shoe boxes to send around the world. You guys were down at Give Kids the World, and you talked about like church people that gave a week's vacation to go and serve the kids that were at this organization. It's the same thing, right? I'm going to give of my time, right? My son is taking some time off work to go and pack shoe boxes to do that. So you kind of give of yourself in ways that might have a monetary consequence, they might not, but yeah, giving of yourself.
Yeah, I'm thinking about like, again, like resources, talents, things that you can, again, other ways you can, use things God's given you. So whether that's helping out somebody in an area that maybe they're not as good at, but you are, and giving of your, again, some time, some of the things that you're good at, resources, so things that you have, whether it's making a meal for somebody and taking that out. Things like that, I think, are, great ways, again, to just be generous with things that we have an abundance of.
Yeah.
And finances, of course, are always the first thing that I think a lot of us think about. Because it's easy, again, just write that check and it's gone. But when you start adding in some time, some resources, some abilities, some things that are giving of yourself, it certainly can change, again, the way you're giving, because sometimes that's more valuable than, let's say, a financial contribution. And I know they talked about that a little bit at Compassion. I forget who we were talking to, but they said that a lot of the kids aren't looking forward to the money aspect of sponsorship. They're looking for the letter.
Yeah.
They're looking for that connection with the person that's sponsoring them.
Yeah.
And the one house we went in, this little girl, she had every letter written to her and had it in a little box and all kept very safe. It was very important to her.
Yeah.
And it was one thing she looked forward to, each time mail came, was that a letter would come. And the being at the center or things like that were just kind of a bonus to the letter in that sense. So small things like that, right, just can be so much more valuable than the financial gift, right?
Do you think it's because when we're younger, our finances are tight, we don't earn a lot, and so we give of ourselves because we got to give something?
Yeah.
And then as you get older, you get more finances, you stop and you think, oh, I'll just give the money. Since I have more money, I'll just give the money and I'll keep my time for myself. Right? It kind of shifts, doesn't it, as you get older?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that schedules change. Like I'm experiencing that being out of university, and trying to juggle like a 9-to-5 kind of job, and then like church commitments, relationships, like some personal projects. And then it's like, wow, where did the time go?
Yeah.
And just having to be very intentional with what I say yes to. And carving out time to like spend with people, to like serve in the community. But it's not easy. And I think about one day like starting our own family, and I'm sure it doesn't get any easier with kids, and you just keep adding to, the what you have to commit to.
Yeah.
So
But it works.
Yeah.
It works, right? You have the time available. It's just what you're going to prioritize.
Yes.
And you realize what a gift your time is then. And so I guess you've reached that stage where, like, if I'm going to give some of my time, this is meaningful.
Yeah, exactly. Like tomorrow I'm taking like vacation time to go and serve, and like I could easily think, well, I want to take that vacation time for like actual vacation.
Yeah.
But seeing the value in it, and also like I am blessed when I go there, getting to connect with other volunteers, getting to see what bigger mission that we get to be a part of.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah. I love that.
Awesome, man. Time flies. We keep kind of talking about time flying. It does fly.
Yes.
And we've come to the end of the time we have for today.
Yeah.
So of course we want to thank you guys again for joining me today on this Talk It Over, and we of course want to thank you guys for joining us each week, and of course the tech team. We want to thank them as well, as this all gets put together so it's available for you guys to be a part of each and every week. And of course, we all do this because we know whoever finds God
finds life.